Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to have everybody joining us here in our Zoom room with our judges and our contestants and our coaches, and anybody who's tuning in on YouTube, either live or when you come back to watch us a little bit later. I'm pleased to welcome all of you to Michigan Virtual's 2026 EdTech Pitch Competition, where we have 5 amazing educators and entrepreneurs to pitch to you. This is the 5th year of our pitch contest and the Education Innovation Bootcamp that preceded it. And all of the programming is aligned with Michigan Virtual's vision of being Michigan's leader for innovation and education. And we realize that extends to the work or beyond the work that we can do alone. So we're grateful to all of our participants and our partners for joining us in that journey. This, of course, includes our valedictorian level sponsor, the Michigan Education Association and their Center for Leadership and Learning. They're a fantastic sponsor of our event, along with Design Harmony, D2L, DuPoint, and Foster Swift. None of this would be possible without their support and their partnerships, and we greatly appreciate it. So thank you to all of them. So today we have 5 exceptional educators and innovators. Each is going to present their distinct vision for leveraging technology in a way that makes teaching and learning better, whether that be more accessible, more engaging, or more effective. They have some great ideas to some challenging problems that face schools, students, and educators around the state and beyond. But we're really excited to hear from all 5 of them. And those finalists are Nova Plus. Jason will be sharing Nova Plus with that. We have David from Fiscal Path, Amber and Scala Pass, Ken with Unscript Ed, and Sarah with Elevate Ed. So each of you, if you want to give a little wave, acknowledge everybody out there, we're going to turn to you in just a minute. But first, one of the many reasons that these teams are interested in doing great today, we have some great prizes. The first place team will receive a $10,000 startup grant from Michigan Virtual along with our sponsors. Second place will receive $6,000. Third place receives $4,000. And each of those top 3 finalists receive a legal package from our generous sponsors at Foster Swift and a design consultation and software services from Design Harmony. So grateful again to those sponsors and the tools that they're going to make available to the top 3 winners. And then our runners-up each receive $1,000 to help launch their ideas and their businesses as well. So some great prizes for some great teams. I also have to acknowledge both Kim and Melanie. They've been working alongside me for the last 5 years as we've done these programs as coaches. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, we ran an EdTech Innovation Bootcamp where we had about 19 different teams going through a week long of pretty intense programming, getting them introduced to the ins and outs of entrepreneurship, innovation, and the EdTech space. So Melanie and Kim, I'm grateful you're both able to be here today in the room with our contestants, and we'll have time to hear from you a little bit later on while our judges deliberate. So thank you to both you and the organizations that you're with. And then, of course, what's a pitch contest without judges? And we have 4 great judges with us today. David Byron from Design Harmony, as well as Sunbird Farrar. David, thank you. Ray Batt from Michigan Virtual, our Vice President of Business Strategy. Julia Heiser with the GSV Summit. Thank you, Julia. And then Aaron from the MEA, one of our sponsors. So Aaron, thank you both for the sponsorship and serving as a judge today. These judges have the hardest work of the day by far. They're only going to have about 10 minutes after all 5 pitches to decide the order of the teams and to dole out the prizes. So thank you to all 4 of you for sharing some time with us today and bringing your expertise to the table. All right, so that's the end of my my remarks, team. So there's nothing standing between me, you, and some pitches. So Jason, are you ready?
No, but I'll go anyway.
All right. Well, you get about a few seconds here as I unshare.
Okay.
And find my timer. My timer is ready. And Jason is going to share his screen. Should be set for you, Jason.
Yep, I'm sharing right now, going into presentation mode.
And the way will work is each finalist will have 5 minutes. I'll have a little timer that will come up as soon as they start, and we'll go through the pitch, and then we'll have 5 minutes of Q&A with the judges, and then we'll move on to the next finalist. So everybody should be ready, and we're going to have a ton of great ideas shared over the next 50 minutes before we get into the judging and the final outcomes. So Jason, I'll turn it over to you. You can start whenever you are ready. We're looking forward to hearing from you.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Good afternoon. Do you guys remember when we were in high school? And high school today is very different. Kids must navigate so many risks that didn't exist when we were in high school. The worst thing that happened to me was a burst appendix. 6 weeks out of school and a C- in chemistry with a note on my report card that read, "With effort comes results." But effort without instruction isn't education. It's isolation. 2 decades later, as a science teacher, I find myself handing out that same stack to my absent alt-ed high school students. Not because I don't care, because with 20 students in a classroom, I don't have time to do much else. If isolation was a challenge back then, today's students are carrying a far heavier load. Today's alternative education students are supporting families, managing adult responsibilities while trying to attend class. This overwhelmingly reality drives chronic absenteeism, making a student 7 times more likely to never return to class. When that dropout happens, it costs the districts $10,050 per student. Just as critical, welcoming these students back with a standard worksheet rarely meets, let alone documents, the rigorous accommodations mandated by special ed. Nova Plus ensures that supporting student return is not just a phrase, but a compliant, auditable action that secures the district's funding and protects their future. Nova Plus is a 5-module continuity layer that uses AI within the district's learning management system and student information system to support students when they are absent. Nova Teach creates adjusted lectures, worksheets, activities, and games for the student. Nova Access creates an evidence trail for accommodations and title funding in the background. Nova Learn supports the students as they do their work. The other modules, Affirm and Admin, track behavior goals for suspended students and MTSS interventions. The pricing model fits district budgets. When used to supplement instruction, Nova Plus is allowable under most federal and state programs. Districts make the allowability calls for their needs. Every level has a baseline price per building with 35 rotating slots. Any slot above 35 is priced at $125 per slot. Just one re-engaged student returns $10,050 to a school's general fund, covering essentials outright. Alternative education programs isn't a niche market. It's a hidden $180 million B2B enterprise play. We are targeting 10,000 high attrition programs hidden right inside mainstream K-12 markets. We are actively building out the core architecture while developing our secondary and math science content with ELA and social studies rolling out this fall. Once our initial paid pilots go live, we will scale regionally to 50 programs, driving in $875,000 in ARR. Nova's advisory team is a mix of classroom credibility, compliance expertise, and scalable architecture to bring Nova to market. Regardless of the award, every dollar goes towards deployment and scale. So let's stop handing kids a stack of paper and a reason to quit. Let's get kids back in the classroom, keep them in the district, and avoid special ed audits. Let us help districts put in the effort and help kids see the result. Thank you.
Great job, Aaron. Or Jason, sorry. Great job, Jason. Tons of
Thank you.
time left too. You had
Dude.
that, polished and smooth. All right, I'm gonna restart the timer to give us just a little bit of guidance through the judging time here. But
Okay.
judges, I'll let you chime in and ask any questions of Jason.
Hey, Jason, it's Ray from Michigan Virtual. Nice job.
Hey, thanks, Ray.
You mentioned pilots. Curious if you have pilots lined up already, or if that's still work to do in front of you.
So yeah, we ran a small pilot with 20 students this spring, just to test the architecture and make sure that it worked internally within the classroom. We have an agreement with my district to pilot this with about 120 lessons in both math and science, and see how the interaction between the SIS and Nova work well or not so well, and make corrections from there.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask about the reference you made to this business model where you had 35 students in the subscription model, and you stated, hey, if one student of those 35 comes back, you've essentially paid for the subscription.
Right, the baseline.
What is the rate of attrition or the rate of loss? Like, what do schools normally see right now out of 35 students? How many do come back? Do you have that data?
Not the way that it's being presented or asked from you, because again, I just ran the pilot last fall. The way that we have seen it in real life, however, is that we have about a 40% attrition rate at Opportunity High School. And so what these seats would do is they would rotate use. So a 35-seat subscription could service up to 200 students, depending on how often it's used and to the degree that it's used.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't asking how many out of 35 that have you already seen.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
What you said 40%. So a school would normally say, if I had 35 students, 40% are only going to return in today's current reality, correct?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
I would agree with that as well. What I tell, or how I pitch this to my my superintendent is that we're currently losing 40% of our students for whatever reason. They're going into Michigan Virtual for online. They are going to other districts from within the building. If I am already losing 40%, why would we not try to gain those dollars back? Right? Yeah. If I'm already, this is not an answer, I should say a complete answer, but it is a way to styve the loss that the district is experiencing.
Is this loss full dropouts, or is this loss temporary?
It can be both. So we've had students that have gone away for a year and come back, and that's still $10,050, right? We've had some students that have gone away for 2 years and have come back, and again, $20,050 if my math is accurate. So there's a variability to this, but not trying to get those kids back. And it's an easy thing to do. It's not like, here's your papers, here you go. It's here's the work that you missed. Here's a support system. Come see me if you have questions. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can ask the online tutor for those types of questions. And it gives students the power to reintegrate as they need to.
Aaron or Julia?
Quick.
Go ahead,
Julia,
Aaron.
go ahead. All right. So I'm just curious, who's monitoring the students that flow into and out of this program?
Yeah, that would be our classroom teachers. So the cool thing about this is that I'm not replacing instruction with Nova. What I'm doing is I'm supporting the teacher to a point where they can handle those higher Bloom's level taxonomy type reintegration questions while the AI handles those lower Bloom's taxonomies. So when the kid comes in, he doesn't have to wait a day or two for me to get caught up and integrate him back into the classroom. He comes in, I have, he logs into Nova, he's got my lesson, he's got my lecture, he can take notes, he can work with the simulations, and he can reintegrate as he needs to, either through peer work, either through the AI tutor, or through me, the classroom teacher.
Okay, yeah, that was the clarification I was looking for. So they're physically in the classroom, but this is just a tool to help them get caught up to their peers with the teacher
Absolutely.
assigned to them. All right, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Julia, gonna do one quick question for Jason. Jason, this will be the lightning round.
I'll be quick, I
Okay.
hope. Just curious if you have already measured or plan to measure once a student uses Nova, how they actually can return and continue to engage. Is there any measurement on that?
So we're planning to do that this fall. When we tested the architecture, though, we did pick up a couple of kids who were like trying to get to summer ed or summer vacation early, right? So they came back and they're like, Mr. Ed, this game, it's kind of lame. This is what I want. This is what I want to see. And because I'm the type of teacher that I am, I'm always collaborative with my students. I'm like, okay, let's work this out so that we can improve Nova together. Right. And if it's not the game, it's like, your hands and your AI thing is doing this kind of stuff. That's what allows us to tailor that interface towards the student, and it engages the student within their own learning. Man, I'm sorry, that's a long explanation for a short answer.
Great job, Jason. All right, Jason, you can exhale, you can kick back. The other four of you are coming up. David Baker in Fiscal Path is our next finalist. David's over at the Wilson Talent Center here in the Lansing area with Hingham ISD. He's got a pretty cool fiscal simulator and program to share with us. So David, take your time, get your screen shared here.
All right, can you see everything?
Yep, we're seeing your browser window, but that's okay. Try one more.
All right. Hi, I'm David Baker. I teach programming at the Wilson Talent Center, and I'm the founder and developer of Fiscal Path, an engaging personal finance simulator. And I built Fiscal Path because I think developing sound financial habits is one of the most important things a student can learn in high school. The stakes for students are real. Today, about half American teens can't pass a basic financial literacy quiz, and those gaps don't stay in the classroom. Last year, financial mistakes cost Americans more than $240 billion. Gen Z's credit card debt is climbing faster than any other generations, and adult financial literacy just hit a 10-year low. I've watched people I care about struggle, not because they never heard the terms, because no one ever let them practice using them. Students pass the test and rent the knowledge instead of owning it, and it follows them for decades. So I built Fiscal Path. It's a life simulator. Students pick a starting career, set a budget, and live through 40 years of real decisions: car repairs, medical bills, debt management, investing, job services, taxes, and more. Every choice ripples forward. Students get the practice of applying concepts, making mistakes, and learning from them before it really costs them. Here's the way it actually teaches. Fiscal Path can be configured to ask questions the moment a student makes a real decision that happens organically throughout the simulation. For example, a student pays down their low-interest student loan while carrying a balance on their high-interest credit card. The game pauses, asks them to defend their reasoning, and then shows what it costs both now and if that choice was repeated over the lifetime of the loan. The mistake becomes the lesson, right then, not on a worksheet weeks later. This does two things. It gives the teacher a window into each student's actual reasoning, and not just what they memorized. It also is engaging. When I ask my students what they remember the most from past classes, it's always a simulation. Fiscal Path makes the thing that they remember also the thing that allows them to practice and develop sound financial habits. Plenty of personal finance tools exist. Most have solid lessons, but none have a truly engaging, customizable simulations. That's where Fiscal Path stands out. The length of the simulation, the customizations, and the decision-triggered reflections. And that gives us two ways in. We can replace the school's current platform, or do the hands-on lab that plugs into the one that they already use. So how does this become a business? It starts with the free simulator. No friction, no IT hurdles. We hand teachers ready-made scenarios mapped to both the state standards and to lessons from existing platforms they're already using for easy adoption. And instead of chasing the whole country at once, we deliberately focus our customer acquisition to build density, one region at a time, starting my own tri-county area, and then repeat this process in a new region. That regional density is what we sell to banks and credit unions. A bank on average already spends $400 or more to acquire a single checking account customer. We put their brand in front of the exact students about to open their first account, and this can count as community reinvestment. The end game is sponsors underwriting free access for every classroom in their region in exchange for co-branding. It's the same playbook as the most successful competitors. That market is sized by what those sponsors will pay. Conservatively, that's a $32 million total market, $19 million in states that already mandate personal finance, and a winnable $72,000 a year in the first target regions. And the economics work at every stage because the software is designed from the ground up to minimize infrastructure costs. And infrastructure overhead is almost nothing. They run serverless on Cloudflare for pennies per user per year. So funding and focus go where they matter, building the product and acquiring users, not paying for infrastructure. Here's the early path. The MVP is built and about 50 students have already tested it. This school year, we are going to do a small pilot of 5 to 10 classrooms. And by the end of the following year, we hope to obtain our first sponsorship as the regional density builds. And a goal of 5,000 active users by the end of the 28-29 school year as we repeat the pattern region by region. I'm the product development lead. Gabrielle's going to drive business development. Justine will lead marketing and sales. Brad advises on advanced financial content. And my daughter, Clara, has been the lead tester. Funding goes two places above all else: customer acquisition to build regional density and continued development. I'll leave you with a review I never asked for. I overheard one of my students mention to their friend after using it last year, "Not gonna lie, this is low-key fire." That's the whole point. If students actually want to play it, the lessons stick. Let's help the next generation own their financial future instead of renting it. Thank you.
Great job, David. No cap. Great job. I don't know what that means, but it's something like low-key fire. All right. Judges, let them have it.
Yeah, I'll go first if you don't mind, David. I'm really big on financial literacy, so I like this idea. Would it be possible for you to go back to one of the earlier slides where you could adjust? It was kind of like the choose your own adventure slide.
Which one? This one?
Yeah, that one right there. So when I look at this, I'm kind of like wondering, how do you keep up with accurate information, right? You have so many things changing frequently, like the job market, like right now. There's a huge opportunity within the trades. We know the college degrees are continuing to get priced out, but then there's also a lot of resources, especially within the state of Michigan, to close that gap. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, how do you account for that? And then the second part of my question is, what about military service? That's a viable path for a lot of students. Is that something that you think could be added into this as well?
So I'll answer your second half first, because that's easy to answer. Yes, so I think that's a good path to add. It's not added yet. There's a lot of things that are on the whole list of to-do that I have. But as far as keeping up with it, the most important thing is that it's balanced. But then as far as the effort to actually keep it up it's just like a config file that you just have to change some settings in. So that can probably be done yearly. But it's more important, like the overall system is actually balanced, because it's like some other existing like simplified simulators, there's always a clear path of what you have to do to win, and there's no actual trade-off. So in this one, where they're trying to maximize actually their happiness while doing it, so there's actually incentive to spend money on things, whereas most other things you just choose I'm going to save the money, save the money. And that's not real life. So yeah, so we want to keep the balance, but it's just a config file to change.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate the additional information.
Hey, David, Ray here. I'll jump in next. Two questions. One's a curiosity. Besides Michigan, do you happen to know how many states have financial literacy requirements as a high school graduation requirement?
Yes, I think it's 39. I wrote it down on my slide somewhere, but I believe the number is 39.
Okay,
Can't
perfect. And
remember.
then, yeah, I missed that, but that's a little bit
I
higher than
didn't
I
say it.
expected, so
I
that's
put
good.
it in there, but yeah.
And the second question is, you mentioned 5, I think, classrooms for the fall. Are those lined up currently?
So 3 of them are currently lined up. And, in the next couple of weeks, I'm reaching out to some of the local districts. So the 3 that are lined up are other teachers in my school. And then I'm just going to start to reach out to a couple of other districts, starting with Hazlitt, where my kids go to school, but then also basically all the local districts that our students come from all of Ingham County. And so all those local districts is the ones that I'm going to reach out to.
Thank you.
Hey, David, I have a two-part question. First, and I'm sorry if I missed this, what age is this targeted toward?
So it's towards high school. So Michigan's one of those places that requires the half credit of personal finance courses. So it's towards that. So all these numbers are calculated assuming only 1 grade level per high school across all the things.
Okay. And then my follow-up question is on that first slide where it was like the choose your path, is there any thought, and this could be a no, but is there any thought about, what it takes to get to, a trade school, a college degree, multiple part-time jobs, like before they choose their career path? And maybe this already happens in the classroom in the schools, but are students prompted with, if you like this, then this, if this, like how to make it as realistic as possible? I guess I'm asking.
So right now it starts essentially after high school, but it's like
Okay.
slightly different times. It is something that we potentially will add. I'll bring up the slide. So right now, here's a bunch of the stuff that's already actually up in there. So one of the things we do have is that you can do study for certification exams and stuff like that to gain skills. And the more years you've worked at a certain job, you gain years of experience. And then we're going to build in like a resume portion of that where you can practice building resumes to apply for jobs. And there's like a whole job board part of it that you can like apply for different jobs. And you can actually potentially switch career pathways and all that stuff too. So most of that already exists with the exception of the resume building part of it.
Awesome. This is super helpful. Thank you for showing this slide.
All right. Great job, David. Thank you, judges. Great questions, great insights. I love the questions from the judges because I'm still learning things, even though I've been working with some of these contestants for going on probably 5 weeks now back to the boot camp. And it's always great to get some other questions asked of them. All right. We're into the middle of the finalists. Amber is up next with Scalapass. You ready for us, Amber?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Awesome. Your screen is shared, so I'll let you take it away.
I'm Amber Merriweather, academic researcher, entrepreneur, and educator. Scholar Pass helps students and teachers thrive in the 9th grade. Students who finish 9th grade on track are nearly 4 times more likely to graduate, according to the University of Chicago. More than test scores, more than anything before it. But most kids walk in blind and no one catches the slide until it is too late. Kids fail because 3 things hit at once while no one is watching. 1, the emotional wall. The jump to independence, a new social world, higher stakes. The struggle stays invisible until grades crash. 2, the hidden rules. High schools run on credits and a clock nobody explains. Capable kids fail because they never learn the rules of the building. And 3, the tools they cannot use well. They lean on AI with no one teaching them to think with it instead of cheat with it. Schools feel all 3 as absenteeism, failed credits, and dropouts that start in the 9th grade. Those 3 things, they hit me, and then they hit my students. I could help them survive, but I could not help them thrive. Scholar Pass is a platform that catches the slide before it starts. Students get the concrete lessons no one teaches: how credits actually work, how to read your transcript, how to build a 4-year plan, how to email a teacher, how to bounce back from a bad grade, and how to use AI to check your work instead of letting it do the work. Teachers get a dashboard where students do quick check-ins, so they catch a student's slide before grades or attendance fall. Students also get a private journal to process hard days, so the teacher sees the mood shift, not the diary, and can step in early. One system for the 3 things a kid needs to not only survive, but truly thrive in 9th grade. Flight handles the emotional wall, regulation first, then learning. The curriculum handles the hidden rules. Project Cruncher breaks big work into 1 task a day. Pilot handles the AI, using it as a thinking partner. 3 threads, 1 platform. You get 3 free signature lessons: 1 to study you, 1 to help you plan, 1 to future-proof you, plus your GPA tracker and 1 Project Cruncher project a month. A $500 launch phase converts to a license, and Michigan founding schools lock their rates for life through the 2027 school year. Generic social emotional learning programs like Second Step or Character Strong teach skills, but gives adults no real-time view. Survey and early warning tools like Panorama flag kids after the damage is done and gives the students nothing. Nobody teaches the hidden rules, and nobody teaches the AI. ScholarPass is the only one that does all 3 with same-day visibility to catch the slide. Version 1 is already built, and I'm now recruiting those funding schools now. By the end of winter 2027, I plan to have the first 3 to 5 paid initial rollouts. The next school year is dedicated to converting them into licenses and collecting outcome data on on-track rates and absenteeism, and reaching 10 to 15 Michigan schools, then growing to Ohio, Illinois, Georgia, adding 10th and 8th grade. If every U.S. high school licensed ScholarPass, that is $600 million. Michigan alone, our starting market is $30 million. What I capture first is the attainable market. The 10 to 15 Michigan schools I convert by the end of the 2028 school year, which is $300,000. I am asking for $10,000, and every dollar is tied to a milestone. $5,500 to make it viable and district ready, including a monitored portal, attorney-reviewed FERPA and COPA compliance, and the standard alignments. $2,500 to land the initial rollout schools through direct outreach. $2,000 to build the infrastructure that runs the initial rollout. Every dollar takes ScholarPass from a working product to a sellable one. And I'm not alone. My advisors bring decades of experience in entrepreneurship, community organization, education, advocacy, and curriculum design. Let's make 9th grade the year our students thrive.
Great job, Amber.
Thank you.
Of course, your QR code is up there, so anybody tuning in can scan that and take a look. Check out Scholar Guard. All right, judges, what do you have for Amber?
Amber, I'll jump in. Thank you. I really appreciate the proactive nature of your product or your plan. Can you go back to the timeline for a minute just to make sure I understood it correctly?
This one?
Yes. So is the tool built, or is the plan to build
built.
it? It is built.
Yeah.
So talk us through a little bit, if it's built, what's going to happen between now and winter of 2027?
Now it is finalizing the curriculum. I have it built, but I spent this last month focusing on the business side and learning how to make it more scalable. So I haven't rewritten all of the curriculum, but that is the main thing that I have to do is I have it more developed, better aligned for the students and for standard alignment with the district. So I just need to go in and tweak that and build the Project Cruncher to the complete state that I want it to be. But everything else is live already.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
How did you get to those 3 key problems that you're trying to solve? Was it a research process? Was it your personal just experience and observation? What led to those 3 points in, like the hidden rules of high school and the AI and
Yeah,
what
no
was that?
problem. So it was kind of all three. I am an academic researcher. I'm working on my dissertation right now. I also am an entrepreneur and I have a tutoring business where I help families in Detroit kind of navigate how to get into DPS schools. And I also was a teacher. I taught for a charter school, and a lot of our kids had no graduation plan, or yeah, they had no graduation plan after they graduated from 8th grade and what they were going to do in high school. And then I taught in a high school where we had an advisory program, but those kids were still failing. And I was still having to call home and try and talk to them. And there was nothing proactive. Everything I was doing was reactionary. So I decided if I was going to go back into the school buildings, I was going to have something built just for myself. So those kids wouldn't hit the same struggles that I was hitting 10 years ago. Everything that happened to me when I was a freshman in high school, I saw happening right back to my students, and I could just keep them above water, but I couldn't really help them do the best they could to their potential. And that made me really sad. So I set out to fix the problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Amber. Is this mostly used, or do you envision this mostly being used by individual teachers? Would this be owned by like the counseling department? Could it vary by school? Kind of who would be the school site manager owner or something like this?
Yeah, I've made it so there's multiple ways for it to be accessible. Because just to be honest, there's going to be some schools that say, no, I don't want to use this as a school. And there'll be families who's like, I really need this from my 9th grader or my 8th grader, and I want them to get it. So I made sure, and I think I have it on a slide here. I had multiple avenues for people who would want to use it differently. So I have families, I have a teacher and a tutor plan because I've been the teacher who was searching for something, and when I went to go find it, you can only use the good features if you were a district. So I made sure to include individual teachers and tutors like myself, because when I didn't have access to tools, I had to go and find a way to get them. But in the school system, I see it mostly being used by teachers, but there is a component to it with the daily check-ins where you can export it to a guidance counselor if you feel like a child needs extra help that you cannot provide. Because I know teachers do it all, but we cannot be a psychiatrist and everything else we have to be and still teach effectively. So it lets us reach out to people when we need help.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Aaron, did you have anything you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I was just kind of looking at the pricing, and I think it's good how it's scaled, but I'm focusing on the family amount right now, specifically like the family concierge amount. And I'm wondering,
Yeah.
like, do you think this is something that could potentially be integrated into healthcare providers of some sort, or maybe families could use HSA dollars to maybe offset the cost of the service at home?
Absolutely. So I work as a homeschool teacher as well. And I know a lot of homeschool funding for people who are looking for specialized things. They have to go through, and it's blanking what they call it in Texas, but there's a Texas fund. You have to prove that you have certification and background checks. So that family thing can eventually roll over into state or federal educational assistance funds.
Okay, good. Thank you.
No problem.
Great. All right. Well done, Amber.
Thank you.
Great work. And next up, we're going to get Elevate Ed, Ken Turner from Ingham ISD. So, Ken, whenever you're ready, to share your screen. Oh, I'm sorry. Elevate Ed is Sarah. Unscript Ed with Ken from Ingham ISD.
You can see
I
my
knew
screen
that
okay?
Yeah, I knew that would be a problem as soon as those two names got put in order right next to each other. I should have changed that, even though I relied on what ChatGPT told me for the order.
That's
All right,
okay.
Ken. I can see it, and you can start whenever you are ready.
All right. So every student eventually asks, when am I ever going to use this? And most never get a real answer. And I'm Ken Turner, and I built Unscripted to make the answer now. 2 in 3 students say school feels disconnected from real life. to 2% by 11th grade. And they're not just tuning out. 1 in 4 is now chronically absent, nearly double pre-pandemic. We have all this technology. We should be asking more from our students. But for a decade, technology's been asking less. And people are starting to notice. Phone bans, screens on trial in the Senate, AI doing homework. Families want school to provide experiences that a screen can't. And districts are a mile wide and an inch deep. And teachers know the fix is a lesson that a student lives. Everyone remembers the day their class ran a stock market simulation in the roaring 20s. And the research agrees. Simulations deliver real gains in achievement. But building one takes weeks of prep for a payoff of 1 or 2 class periods. Unscripted is a catalog of ready-to-run classroom simulations with 60 sims live right now at unscripted.fit, covering grades 6 to 12, with everything from ancient river valleys to asteroid mining, from the brink of nuclear war to a sketch comedy writer's room. Here's what it looks like. This one is the corner. It's our Gilded Age stock market. Each group holds a different role. The railroad baron, the banker, the muckraker, everyone, the muckraker holding everyone's secrets. And the teacher's dashboard guides it step by step. The board in the front shows the live market. The choices, consequences, and challenges are different for every game, but the kids are up out of their seats, cutting deals across the room, or working together to solve a problem. This isn't engagement instead of achievement. Students are analyzing, evaluating, creating, and crucially, the people skills that employers are looking for are built in, and we tag them just like academic standards. An analysis of 50 studies of classroom simulations, grades 6 through 12, found a large gain in achievement because engagement isn't a trade-off you make, it's the method. So for students, the answer to when am I ever going to use this becomes today, and it's fun. For teachers, a lesson that takes weeks to build now takes sharing a room code. And for districts, you get engagement and the skills employers are looking for can now live inside the classes they're already required to teach. Simulations done right are not a break from the standards. They're the standards experienced. And classroom simulations are hard to build well. Engaging roles, information asymmetry, mechanics that are actually fun. So what's out there? You got one-off unvetted simulations from Teachers Pay Teachers, or small catalogs that cover social studies only, mostly built to take over your whole week and not fit your existing plans. Nobody has landed quite where we are with simulations across every subject that are ready to run in a single class period, and we can build new ones every week. Access to Unscripted will be free this school year with no accounts and no student data. And it's working. A handful of teachers found us this spring, and one even tipped $5 totally unprompted. Then a direct-to-teacher subscription of $60 a year, and then that adoption drives the district contract at $5 a student for the district platform, the learning management system plugin, custom sim builds, and district analytics. Our ceiling is every public 6 to 12 student at our $5 price. It's $132 million. Or going direct to teachers is $80 million. But our near term million in subscription districts. I started as a classroom teacher with a passion for creating lessons that students never forget. Then as an instructional technology leader, I learned how to make that work scale, how districts adopt tools, and how to build them with AI. So we have 60 simulations live right now. And this summer is teacher outreach, then classroom pilots. Then we can build the district platform while the catalog keeps growing. Of the $10,000, $4,000 gets the word out through education. $1,500 helps to build the district platform, and the rest is for a privacy and security review that lets a district say yes. So the answer to when am I ever going to use this was always supposed to be right now. School is the real world, so let's throw out the script. Help me get Unscripted into classrooms. Thank you.
Great job, Ken. Love how that came together. Now it's time for the judges to weigh in. So judges, what do you have for Ken?
How do you align these simulations to different subject matter? How does a teacher in one topic say, oh, I know that these actually can fit into my curriculum, they apply to my topics?
On the website, they're all tagged and filterable. So like this one has or there's an ELA, a Common Core Literacy Standard tag to it. And on the website, if you're looking for just social studies or just math or just science, you click a button and filter it down. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, good start to that. Exactly.
Cool. Thank you.
Is there a recommendation for teachers, like when to use this? Like, I imagine it can't be, every lesson, obviously you would never do that,
Yeah.
but, kind of how does it bridge? And so that if a whole school is using it too, how are they not going from 4 sims a day? Like, is there any guidance on kind of when that fits in best with whatever the curriculum or the standards is per subject area?
I think it totally depends on the content. It might be really fun to use. Like, okay, so I have one that I just built this week that is it's this River Valley simulation. And I think it would be a really fun thing to play before you teach that unit. I taught that unit many times as a 6th grade social studies teacher, and seventh, actually, depending on the state that I was in. And I think it would be a really fun like intro to it, because they'll be making decisions and it'll be confusing. Why am the rivers flooding? What do we do? After they've already learned all that stuff, it might be too easy to kind of make the choices that'll make it win. So it could be a really great hook activity. It could also be really great in the middle or toward the end. It really depends on the unit.
And is that guidance that you just said, is that on the website? Can teacher
Yeah,
access that?
That's
Okay.
that's actually a really good question. Some of them do have a drop-down menu inside of the game page that says like where this fits in your curriculum. Some of them don't, but that's something that I've been adding in them more recently. And it would be a good thing to go through and do a pass and see which ones need that update.
Awesome. Thanks.
So Ken, I can definitely see the appeal of this. So I'm wondering, you mentioned that you'll be putting out new sims every week. To me, that seems pretty ambitious, right? So what would you use as your guide as far as what sims are you going to create next? Like, what is the demand for it? And then how are
Sure.
you going to gather feedback from the users about the effectiveness of the simulation also?
Yeah, great question. Actually, just recently I did a 10 game push that was targeted at fall. So I was trying to get an understanding of what's taught in the fall, and so that I would have stuff ready to go for teachers that are, getting through their first units and go from there. It's pretty easy with AI to do a quick search through state standards and see kind of where things line up in scope and sequence and try to kind of build in that order going into this year. Um, there haven't been a lot of games played yet because so many of them were built just now in the spring, right at the end of the school year, and they don't really line up with stuff that they may be taught in December. So I'm really looking forward to getting a lot of feedback by having games specifically for fall. And there's the second part of your question, I think, or the first, I have this slide that kind of shows this design model. Like, in order to build these, I've had to, over the last 6 months, really put together a very complex vibe coding system of many, 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 many gates and reviewers. And there's so many systems that it goes through to kind of verify quality. And honestly, so once we go through the step 1 and 2 on this, I'm sorry, through step 1, sort of like human interaction design phase, the actually, okay, go and code it actually takes Claude about 4.5 hours or so to build a single game. And we have templates and all kinds of things to kind of make sure the quality stays the same. But nevertheless, there's a lot of human interaction. But the sitting there and handwriting the thousands of lines of code per game is agentic. And so I can kind of walk away and go to work and do my fun job that I love, and then come back in the afternoon or in the evening and kind of see what got built and make sure it's all working the way that it's supposed to. So I think I can scale it pretty quickly because of that system.
All right, great. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, we got time for one more quick question if there is one. All right, great job, Ken. All
Thank you.
right. 4 out of 5 done. One more to go. Sarah, you feeling ready and confident?
I am.
You're gonna bring it home for us. All right, we'll get your screen shared. Elevate Ed. All right, Sarah, whenever you are ready, take it away.
That's good. All right. At 23 years old, I was a first-year teacher equipped with nothing but a textbook and a class list of 125 12th grade students. I was left just to figure it out. My name is Sarah Pilarski, and I'm the co-founder of Elevate Ed. My story isn't the exception, it's the norm, and that is why Elevate Ed exists. In the United States, 31 Departments of Education mandate a new teacher mentorship program, but it's up to the local districts to determine what that looks like. In the state of Michigan, they require 3 years of a mentor with 90 documented hours of contact. However, there is no standard curriculum and there is no accountability. There's simply standards suggested. Teachers are leaving faster than can be replaced. These statistics do give us pause, but it's important that we recognize that these aren't just numbers. These are actual people and their careers. When a new educator checks out, delicate systems, initiatives, all sorts of positive momentum are left vulnerable to collapse. And most importantly, students lose somebody that they trust and are inspired by. Effective mentorship should be highly structured and provide a roadmap for new educators as well as their mentors in order to eliminate reactive conversations and random acts of guidance. Elevate Ed is the only new educator digital onboarding program that collectively meets the needs of mentees, mentors, as well as district leaders within the same platform. So how do I know that? Well, that's because I did my homework. In early 2026, I was granted, Elevate Ed was granted a US trademark underneath the education category. Elevate Ed is available as both a mobile and desktop app containing 24 micro-learning sessions and activities. There are separate tracks of learning for elementary, secondary, career tech ed, as well as school counselors. And mentees are connected to their mentor by a unique access code. Mentors receive push notifications when it's time to schedule a mentorship meeting, and at any time they can review the progress and reflections of their mentee. Each new session is unlocked after a mentorship meeting has taken place, and mentors can be assigned multiple mentees, allowing them to toggle between the different mentees within the platform. Mentors are also provided a detailed meeting agenda, which allows them to synthesize the learning of the mentee. And it also helps districts when they can use these agendas for professional development, certification, and compliance for the 90 hours specifically in Michigan. After each interaction, the mentor documents the time, location, and notes. They can add, edit any multiple interactions as needed. The platform tracks each entry, which is a stark contrast to most current district practices. Generally, it's a handwritten log kept and turned in at the end of the school year. Because every session, check-in, and growth milestone is captured within the platform, district leaders now have real-time access to evidence-based reporting and proof of usage and compliance. When educators rise, our students soar. These outcomes are not just operational, they are definitely changing what can happen within the classroom because our educators are more confident, there's consistent messaging, we have reduced liability, and we have cost savings, but most importantly, our students are rising and thriving because they have solid teachers in front of them every day. Districts pay for access to our platform per mentee and have the autonomy to establish timelines for completing the curriculum. Our standard pricing is $2,400 per mentee with free mentor access. Once embedded in a district's onboarding process, this is a highly defensible, reoccurring revenue with all new hires. There are over 3.2 million public educators in the US, which gives us a total addressable market of about 720 million. This does not account for private or online teachers or teachers who are just about to enter the classrooms. Our market is focused, though, on mandate states. Our near-term target is about 5 million, roughly 2,000 mentees, which is less than 1% of that serviceable market. So why Elevate Ed and not the status quo? It's because nothing else was built for this problem. Binders and workshops aren't mobile. They aren't structured. They produce no compliance or reflective data. Elevate Ed keeps teachers in the classrooms where they belong. So here where we are, the problem is validated. The product is built. Right now, we have 2 customers. We are working to add additional Michigan districts this summer, and our long-term goals are to scale to the states in which mandate new educator mentoring is taking place. We're both experienced educators, and we didn't come at this as outside founders. We partnered with developer AppNet to create Elevate Ed platform based on our years of experience as educators.
All right, Sarah, we hit the magic 5-minute mark. You can maybe based on the questions get to your other slides here. So judges, take it away. What questions do we have for Sarah?
I'll jump in here. Love the mentorship topic. I run a three-team mentorship program for pro designers and college designers, and tracking that is important here. So my question here for the price point, though, is that if there's currently no mandate to have a tool or a process to do this, they can just write hand logs, as you say. How do you see the schools defending this investment in this platform if currently just having the meeting and signing it on the line satisfies the 90-hour requirement? How are they going to defend this price investment per mentee?
Sure. Well, it's defensible because of the teacher retention rate is at an alarming percentage right now. And so it costs districts for every new teacher that walks out the door, a significant amount of money to go through the process of employing a new teacher. And so I've seen statistics with a new teacher center that takes about $24,000 to replace a teacher that leaves. So, and one of the biggest reasons why teachers leave is lack of support, those new teachers. And so the defense for the investment is that it actually will save money in the end if they're maintaining that teacher in their building.
Good answer.
All right, who's next with a question for Sarah?
Okay, that was my question, so I'm going to go a different direction. How are you thinking about measuring like teacher, outcomes? Like, is this also not only tied to teacher retention, but is there anywhere, or is there any plans to also measure, okay, this teacher was retained past the 5-year mark and better outcomes for students in X, Y, and Z ways? Is there any plan, or is this truly just to get, them over that first 5-year window?
Yeah, so our focus is strictly new teacher induction and onboarding. So in terms of what that long-term gain looks like, I guess as an experienced teacher, I have confidence knowing that consistency and that a teacher will grow over time with confidence in their instructional practices and all the things. So I'm confident it will make a huge difference. But in terms of being interested in that data, currently I'm just focused on the onboarding induction processes. Many states are 2 years. Michigan happens to be 3 years. So it varies, but it's 2 to 3 years.
Hey, Sarah, this is Ray. I'm confident, similar to what you just said, there's a research study that can support the presumed student positive outcomes associated with teacher retention. Scott and I worked with another team member going back over 5 years ago, trying to impact this issue, and maybe we're a little bit ahead of our time, but it's been a long-term issue, and I'm happy to see some focus on it.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah.
Just one more thing. I saw in your demo, we're running through the ability to track and log and put information in. How does the platform you're building improve the quality of the mentorship? Like, does it improve the mentor and how they deliver that experience? How does it do that?
Yeah, so the irony is I'm using technology to actually bring people back together instead of using technology to to replace that human interaction. And so instead of induction by fire hose, the lessons, the micro lessons are not available to the mentee unless they have had a meeting on the particular session prior. And by giving the mentors an agenda that is timed, that is aligned to that particular session the mentee had completed, that ensures that synthesizing of the learning and making sure that they're speaking the same language. A mentor teacher might not be well versed into current best practices. They might be great at what they do and they're great
Right.
teachers, but they also need to be brought up to speed, and those agendas allow for that.
Yep.
Aaron, did you have anything for Sarah?
I don't think I have any questions. I was just reflecting on what my onboarding process was many, many years ago and like how much more efficient this is. You know, you don't have to worry about dragging home a 3-ring binder or oops, I left it on my desk. So I love that it's all app-based. I think the cost is reasonable. I think the only challenge is that you're relying on school districts to see the value in that. And sometimes that can be tricky. I mean, they're very willing to stick money into the latest, greatest, shiniest professional development, only to change to something else next year. So I think if you could get them on board with this could be a really good thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great job, Sarah. And congratulations, everybody. That wraps up all 5 pitches. You all did fantastic. I feel relief for all of you. I feel excitement for all of you. You may not feel too much relief yet because we still have what might be the most important part, although I would argue that you've just done the most important part, which is sharing your idea, the work you did over the past 5 or 6 weeks, frankly, the guts that it takes to do this, to come out, share your idea, be vulnerable, put it out there for the world. It's an incredible first step. And like I've shared with you before, it's a step that 99.9% of the people don't take. Everybody has ideas, but to do something with them is pretty special. So thank you, all 5 of you, for sharing your ideas with us today. We learned a lot, and great work. I love seeing how these progress over the time. It was pretty amazing. So judges, I am going to find the breakout rooms here. I'm going to put the 4 of you into a breakout room, and now you're on the clock. You have 10 minutes once you get in there. So the pressure is off of our finalists and onto our judges here. And the rest of us will hang out here and kind of celebrate your successes a little bit. So judges, get ready here. Let's see. Julia, David Byron, Aaron, and Ray. I'm opening a room for the 4 of you. Good luck. All right. They're off to do their judging, whatever that entails. Congratulations, everybody. How do you feel?
Really good. I feel really good.
Glad to hear it.
Relieved. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel good. I feel excited. I feel proud. You all did amazing.
You didn't fast forward that clock, did you, Scott?
It feels like it. I told you all it would feel like you had like 1 minute of talking and
It
you were
does.
done. You had to take that first deep breath and then you exhale and then 10 minutes have passed somehow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah.
It's hard to
Sam and
decide what to
Melanie,
leave
would
on
you-
the table and what to bring to the, it's tough to pick.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Kim and Melanie, what do you guys think?
I wasn't sure if Kim was going to talk. Really great job, guys. I mean, this is a crunch. This particular accelerator is really, and the pitch is really a crunch. So, excellent job. Really impressed with how quickly you took feedback and interpreted it and adapted your presentations. So I think, terrific job. It's always really great to hear the judge feedback because you can hear different people hear things different ways or note different things. So, keep thinking about not necessarily because you're going to do a pitch again tomorrow, but they're all pointing to things that raised questions with them about your business model overall. And that's great feedback and great things to reflect on when you have a chance and say, okay, this caught their eye. Is there something else I need to be thinking about as I start to move the business forward? But, really, really excellent job. Well done.
Yeah, I loved seeing the pitches. I mean, from like where some of the companies were back, like at the very first days of the boot camp to where you guys have come now. It was nice to see that nobody was like super rushed. You guys knew what you were saying. The slides were beautiful. You guys owned your Q&A when they were asking you questions. I was like, oh, look at them do the thing. So no, it was so good. Yeah, really good. Fun to watch.
Yeah. Just curious, this is like the first time in a while that most of you have seen each other's presentations. Some of you, like Ken and David, you didn't present at all during the boot camp, I don't think. So, what questions do you guys have of each other? What do you think of each other's ideas? Who's going to pilot for each other?
I just want to say there was a couple presentations, especially the ones that came after me, because I was able to concentrate and not have my nerves. And I was like, the simulator, that one, I was like, that is something I would pay for in my classrooms. If I was going into a classroom, or if I go into a classroom this September, that is something that kids will love that, especially my middle schoolers. They would absolutely love that.
Yeah, thanks. It was born out of being a middle school teacher, among other things.
Yeah, because they are always asking, when am I going to use this? And it's like, on the moment, I don't know either, because I'm just trying to teach you the material.
Tomorrow, show up tomorrow. We
It's
got
going to
something
come up
for you. Yeah.
eventually.
Yep.
I just had a handful of teachers that did stuff that was like this and unique and interesting, and most didn't. And so my whole career has been sort of like trying to recreate what they did. And now I can you can just you talk to the machine and it makes it for you with
Absolutely.
good ideas.
Yeah, because when she mentioned like you can buy the standalone simulators from Teachers Pay Teacher, I'm like, I bought them.
Me too.
And they're
Many of
like
them,
expensive
they're
too.
expensive. Yeah, they're expensive.
And
And
it's
they're not
like
even that good. And you end up having to make changes to them.
all the time. Yeah, so that's really good. I was like, I see an immediate use of that personally.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was thinking that I need to work with David on something. I'm at Wilson all the time. We got to get together on something.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
not very far away.
No, I'll be there on Monday.
Awesome. Yeah,
I
and
just
Ray
wanted
kind
to-
of mentioned it. I've shared with Sarah, but I mean, in 2017, 2018, me and a few colleagues basically tried to create Elevate Ed. We called it New Teacher. We did it over in the 300 room, Kim, over at the Research Foundation with the guys at Ventura. And we built it out. We did the design sprint. We had it ready for testing. And then we kind of got to the boil of the ocean issue where we kept thinking, oh, we should add this, and we should try this. And then we went off into a whole different track with micro credentials, other shiny objects. But yeah, it felt like we were just a little bit ahead of our time at that point. So I was super excited to see Sarah's application come in and say, all right, this is important. I know it's important. We did it. Our timing wasn't great, and then COVID derailed things. So it was pretty fun to have a finalist working on an idea that I've worked on in the past.
I'd love to compare notes offline, Scott, and see.
Yeah, no,
where you're
we'll set it up. We'll have you come in for an afternoon, and myself and a couple of the colleagues that worked on it.
Yeah.
We'll sit down
For
and
me,
start.
I just kept thinking, because I'm a consultant for County ISD, so I mentor a lot of counselors and stuff. And I'm like, what do people have every day on them? It's a phone, right? So instead of pulling them out of their classrooms and stuff like that. But yeah, I would love to see your ideas.
Yeah. Does anybody have a kid that had to be prepared for ninth grade? Amber's really resonated because I've got an eighth grader getting ready for ninth grade in a couple of weeks.
I would think that counselors would love it, Amber, because we do those presentations. try to push into classrooms with, you know, those types of things and for ninth graders. And so I think that's immediately what I was thinking about. That would be a great tool for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Counselors do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Really, same with Nova Plus. If you've ever had somebody home for a couple days or a couple weeks and they're falling behind on stuff,
Yep.
getting them caught up is important. And I think the judges have about 3 or 4 minutes. One
just
thing
wanted
that
to say
really struck me
thanks.
this year.
Oops,
Oh,
sorry.
David, go ahead.
I was gonna just say thanks because I know before I started this, the boot camp thing, I had originally made the simulator just for our classroom, and then my wife was like, "Hey, you should make this a business," because she's always about that. And then I was like, "Well, I don't know how." And then, like, just through the process of doing everything, I went from like not really having a business plan at all to like feeling pretty confident. I'm like, "Oh, this is actually like reason like attainable. This is like actually a thing that can happen." So, just wanted to thank everyone for their help and support through it and the opportunity.
Yes, to piggyback off of that, absolutely. Because every meeting I went into, I was like, I get the education, I get the research, but the business side. So whatever suggestions you guys have, it's like, give them to me because I haven't studied business. I've studied education. I've studied how to vibe code. I studied how to research. And just getting all that business knowledge has made me feel way more comfortable in handling a business side of it. Even with my tutoring business, it was really just me teaching. So it wasn't as much business. I just got a couple students, so I didn't have to go work in the schools. And now, yeah, got a lot of good information. Totally went into it not thinking I was going to get picked. I was like, I'm just going to go to the boot camp and get the information.
Yeah, and now all of you can annoy your friends and your colleagues and ask them if they've done their customer discovery or if they know if they've done their business model canvas or anything else. Knowledge is power. Use it appropriately, right? Yeah. What really struck me this year, a little bit last year, but the fact that all 5 of you have a working prototype, or basically you have the business and the product launched and out there, is outstanding. And people are going to tune in and watch this. So do each of you want to take just like 15 seconds and like pull up your website and share it really quick and just let people know where they can go to check out what you've already built and how they can use your prototypes and interact with the great things that you've created?
I can go first. So for everybody watching, this is Scholar Pass. I need to change the website to be updated with all the new names and stuff. But if you go to hub.scholarsvanguard.com, you can go and see it in action now. There's a teacher hub. It should have the demo. You can see it from the student's point of view as well as the homeschool component that I've added in.
Great. What was the or maybe you can throw it in the chat, the URL. I don't know if the chat will show up in YouTube, but yeah, show up the URL, make sure people can see that to go there. And of course, your fantastic tutoring and coaching services too.
Yes. Oh wait, I guess I can't make this part any bigger, but it
No,
looks
there it
like
is.
there we
We can
go.
see that now. Yep.
If you go back and pause it at the end of my slideshow, it is there a little bit bigger.
Yep.
Okay. There we go.
All right. Yep. The judges have asked for about 4 more minutes, so we can get through each person's slides and then we'll see, or each person's website. And Ken will have us wrapped up by 4 o'clock.
Sign up. Here is elevateed.net. This is our website. We also are developing they are developed digital courses. So it's a static course for new counselors. So that's also an option. It's behind a paywall for counselors who don't have a mentor. They're able to learn some essential and foundational things as well. So it's Elevate Ed.
Awesome. David, Jason, Karen?
I can jump in. Let's see. Yeah, so this is unscripted.fit. And like I said, there's 60 simulations on here. There's everything from this one's asteroid mining for a physics class. This one's mission control for just it's a collaborative one that's kind of cool, going to the moon. With media literacy, some of these games are inspired by stuff I did in the classroom. Other ones are inspired by friends of mine. I have a friend who manages musical artists, and I thought that would be really cool. So I made this game called Amplify. That is, it's a game you would do in math class, like during a statistics unit, and it's about making decisions about what you're going to do along a 4-city tour. And so I really try to cover all kinds of stuff on here, and I think a lot of them are a lot of fun. There's a Get Teacher Access button that just gives you a code to get into the games themselves. It's a single code. The idea is just to make sure students can't get in there to get the answers. For now, that's a temporary solution, but that's what that request free access is for.
Awesome. So yeah, we can all go play and do some simulations later this evening.
Yeah, get some friends together and have like a have an economics game party. It'll be great.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are watching. Probably not enough to crash your site, but it'd be pretty cool if we all went in there and crashed your site.
Do it.
All right. On that, I'll go ahead and follow up because I support the idea of doing an economic simulation party tonight. So here's our website, and there's a teacher login. You can actually log in to give feedback. It's where I log all our bugs and features that are going to come in later. But then you also can create accounts. Everything on the simulator, if you just click the start the simulator, is just runs locally. So it runs locally on your browser. You don't need to install anything. There's a tutorial, which I kind of need to update because I added a bunch of features after that. But you can just kind of like start with the either the tutorial or the sandbox, which just kind of opens up everything. And you can select some options of what things you want to turn on or off. And yeah, give yourself a name, some settings, you rank your priorities because everything's about happiness. So more money you spend on certain categories increases your happiness, and then you can start the simulation and it goes from there.
Awesome. Yeah. Nova Plus.
Sure. Let me get my screen up here really quick. Assuming, of course, I can get this thing to work. There we go. So if we look at Nova Plus, I'm going to go through the demo mode really quick. You can see that it is developed for 4 types of users and the student. So I'm just going to go into the student log so you can see it. We have a list of created lessons based on the course. You can see that it has a student learning map. Units of study, we're going to go with Great Lakes Ecology because why not? We have checkpoints and things along those lines. I'm going to get out of this a little quick as well. So there I am with my virtual self going on through. We have daily assessments after the lecture. We have the worksheets. So you have a written worksheet or a math worksheet. And of course, you have your notebook. So you can take notes while the lecture is going on. You can either do this online and insert pictures and things, or you can do it manually, upload it OCR-wise. What you're also able to do, which I think is kind of cool, is that you can ask AI about your notes and it'll give you feedback on what is good and what is not so good. And then that would be submitted to the teacher. Teacher goes yay, may, or nay. And once you have your notes approved, then you can go on to like really cool things like going on to some of the simulations that are created through the AI generator. Not as good as Ken's, but they're pretty okie dokie.
Awesome. All right. Decisions have been made. Judges are coming back in. I'm scrambling to get some slides updated here for the awards. Definitely want to make sure I put this in the right order.
That was stressful. I know how the presenters felt earlier.
Yeah, welcome back, judges. Ray or other judges, do you want to just kind of without giving away any final results, tell us what you were thinking. Tell us how the last 10 minutes were for you.
You weren't lying when you said it was a tough job because I think that's representative of the quality of the presentations that we heard. It was very, very tight in terms of the judges' rankings, and the rankings were very, very similar, almost identical in many cases. So good products. I'm glad that you're the one who's going to present the results, Scott, because I don't want anybody to be have to do it on the judge's side.
And I just want to chime in too for the five of you that there's two things I think we're really seeing here. One is the big picture opportunity that you all tackled very different issues. And so I think I'm looking at these saying there's a real they nailed an opportunity, a need that could be solved. But what we're also doing today is just being able to critique on how well your designed idea so far is addressing that. So some of you are a little further along, I think, in a more mature way of hitting your target. So do you have a great target? That might be different across this list, and that influence our judging, but we're also only just able to judge you on how well you're hitting the target today in your presentation. But some of you, I think we said, oh man, if they just worked on this idea more, it could have been a top 3 idea or top 1 idea, just because what we saw so far isn't there yet. But your target might be bigger than someone else's target, actually. You just weren't as far in your evolution. So I think we just wanted to say that those are big influences on what we're seeing today is how we got to our final list.
Awesome. All right. Julia or Aaron, is there anything you wanted to add?
No,
I
they
just-
said it great.
Yeah, I think this was great. I regardless of what the end results are, I don't think that they diminish the value of anybody's ideas or their presentations. So this was all great. And appreciate the opportunity to be a part of it.
Yep. Yeah. All of you are going to keep pushing forward on these ideas. I'm going to make sure you do that. We're going to check in. I'm going to ask for some progress reports because like David and Ray and Aaron and Julia shared, you're all working on critically important areas for teaching and learning for our schools and for our kids. So again, you're all to be commended for the work that you've done, for being out there, making yourselves vulnerable, putting in a ton of work over what's supposed to be your summer break, expanding your horizons, expanding all of our horizons. We're extremely grateful to each of you in the work that you're doing. And you're all making huge impacts, and you're going to keep making impacts, which is the whole idea of this. So thank you to all 5 of you. And I look forward to seeing where all of these ideas end up going here. So just as a reminder, we've got 2 runner-ups that will each get $1,000. We've got 3rd place, 2nd place, and 1st place. They get a little more in the startup grants, plus the Foster Swift Legal Services and the design services from Design Harmony. Thank you again as well to DuPoint, D2L, and of course the MEA Center for Leadership and Learning. Aaron, pass on our thanks to your colleagues over there for making this possible. It's greatly appreciated, and it's impacted the 5 finalists here today, the 14 or 15 others that participated in the boot camp. And this year we had a record 35 applications, so that's great. As just a quick commercial for what's to come, we also have the Conquer EdTech Accelerator Program, which is a 10-week accelerator for established businesses with customers who are looking to move to scale. So all of you, you might not quite be ready for this year, but come 2028, I'll see all of you applying for our Conquer EdTech Accelerator. And Jason, that was the coolest thing. Have him come back and give you another hug. So, Conquer EdTech Accelerator, if anybody's tuned in and they're interested, applications are open for that. Currently, you can go to michiganvirtual.com/EdTech Catalyst and get information on that. And we do that in partnership with our friends over at the MSU Research Foundation. So, that's all the delay that I will force upon you. Without further ado, honorable mentions, Amber and Jason, each getting $1,000 in startup grants, thanks to our sponsors, thanks to Michigan Virtual. Congratulations. You both have amazing ideas, and I'm looking forward to seeing how those grow and continue to come along. Moving on to third place, Fiscal Path. David, over at the Wilson Talent Center, you're going to get the $4,000 startup grant, and our lawyers will be calling you. And this time, that's a good thing to say. So, and then, yep, David Byron over with Design Harmony will be in touch too to set up a consultation and get you hooked into their software. So, congratulations, David. And now I'm going to go to second place, which gives away first place. So, second place, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on you because it becomes pretty apparent who won. But second place, congratulations. You did awesome. We're really excited for Elevate Ed and what you've done with the work that you've done. And that leaves Ken flabbergasted. Hands on his head, first place. Congratulations, Ken. Yeah, you've got an amazing pitch, and all of you do. So, Ken, we'll turn it over to you.
I thank you for the opportunity. And this has been, this like makes me so happy to come home from work and work on this. Like, I love it so much. And to have other people get a chance to see it is the best. Scott, I wouldn't have done this. I happened to stumble into your McCall presentation,
Wow.
and that's how I learned about this. And I'm so grateful that I did. And I'm just really excited to, I don't know, make school awesome. And I hope that this helps do that. So thank you all so much.
Yeah. So congratulations, everybody. Sarah, Jason, Amber, David, anything you want to share?
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciated this experience.
Yeah, we loved hearing from all of you. Judges, anything else on your parts?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to participate as well. And the ideas are all solid. They're all serving needs and gaps in the current teaching and learning environment. Some are just a little bit further along, but please, everyone, continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And for all 5 of you, I'll be in touch with next steps. That'll probably be next week. But hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. For anybody who's watching and saying, I should do this next year. Yeah, you definitely should do this next year. Go to our website, check out our EdTech Catalyst stuff. We have a monthly newsletter that'll keep you updated on when the programming starts, all the way from our accelerator going into next year's boot camp and pitch contest. The more the merrier. Let's make this bigger and better next year. And thank you to all 5 finalists because you made this possible. You're the stars of the show. And your great work really shone through today. So appreciate it all. Judges, thank you for your time. And go out there and build. There's no excuse not to build, no excuse not to pursue your ideas. And if you're tuned in and you're wondering what to do next, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you, everybody. Congratulations, Ken.